Hi, everyone. It is my pleasure to be interviewing today one of our summer 2023 Magic mentee mentor pairs. They just completed the final presentation. It was a phenomenal presentation by the mentee here. But before I start, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ira P. I'm the founder of Magic and a software engineer. And I'll hand the mic over to Nishi to introduce herself.
Hey, hello, my name is Nishi. I am a rising junior at the Edison Academy Magnet School. And this is my first experience with Magic. It's been a really awesome program. I really enjoyed every second of it. And honestly, I'm a bit sorry that I didn't find it earlier.
Thank you. And Laney?
Hi, I'm Laney Strange. I am a computer science professor at Northeastern University. I live here in Boston. Those are my two dogs, and you can see them being crazy behind me. And I've mentored now for Magic. I forgot to count. I'm going to say 7 times.
Yeah, many times.
Something like that.
Yes, many times. And we are very grateful. Magic is very grateful to Laney for repeatedly volunteering with us. So yeah, that was an awesome presentation, Nishi. Congratulations to you and to Laney for such an amazing idea also, as well as the implementation. If you can, so the name is Jersey Justice. Can you give us everyone a brief overview of what the project is, maybe also include why you did this project?
Sure. So it's essentially a user-friendly version of a virtualization tool, and it allows you to view various environmental and just social justice related data sets. So there are a lot of tools out there that do allow you to view data, especially when it comes to environmental data. But something I noticed is, first of all, they don't really include the social justice aspect. A big thing right now is environmental, like racism and environmental justice. And it's kind of like based on where you live. If you live in a low income area, even if, let's say, your area doesn't have as much pollution as a neighboring city, you may be facing a higher impact just because you don't have the resources to adequately fight back, if that makes sense. And New Jersey right now has been going through a lot of changes. We have a lot of power plants opening up, unfortunately. So this felt like an appropriate project. I'm really interested in the environment and just overall social justice, so this felt like a fitting topic.
It is an amazing topic. I'm so glad you thought of it. I learned quite a bit about the topic today. How was you used Google Colab and in your demo we saw all of that. What was the most challenging part of using software for your project?
So I would say the most challenging part was definitely well, I would say there are a couple. Firstly was finding the actual data to use. This is something I really struggled with because a lot of the data that I originally found wasn't in the right format, or it was a lot to parse through. So the groundwater data that I ended up using, that was like a couple, like 100,000 entries. So the way that I got the data, it was like over 1,000 entries per county. So I first had to like clean the data, like I had to get rid of a bunch of columns. And then for each county, I had to actually like aggregate and average it out so that I had just one entry for each county because otherwise, it wouldn't really let me classify it well. So that was a big issue. It took a lot more time than I expected. I would say the other issue I had was understanding what's online. I think there's a lot of resources and documentation online, especially for like looking at geospatial data with Python, but interpreting it was something that I thought was a little bit tricky, and it was definitely something I struggled with.
That's great. I mean, also when you look at data, so many things jump out. So I know that you probably were taken aback or pleasantly surprised by some of the data. We'll come back to that. I'll switch gears and ask Laney. She's mentored with Magic many times before. This project seems so different from your other projects. And I'm wondering if you can comment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's all Nishi. This is all driven by her. It was her idea. This is an area that she wanted to work on. So, I see myself in a support role. How can I help? And this is what she wanted to do. So I was all for it. Yeah, I think this is the first time in Magic that I've done Python, which was actually great for me because I teach some Python at my job. Although as Nishi discovered, I don't teach very much GeoPandas. So we were learning some of that together. And just to add, like I mentioned to Nishi and I talked about it as we were going through it, but just to reiterate, this thing where you have a hard time finding data is normal. This is not about you. This is part of being a data scientist. Nice. And it's hard to find, like, you think you're going to find some data set out there, and then you can't find it, or you find something related, but it's not quite what you want, or not in the right format. And that's just something that is a normal struggle. That like the one mentee, the presenter who mentioned today, there was a lot of debugging. It's the same kind of thing.
How true. Nishi, you mentioned in your presentation and today as well, cleaning your data. And I think I even saw that in your collab as you were demoing. What are the most common things you had to clean for? I mean, that depends on different sources of data is different, but for your data, what was the most common thing that you needed to clean? And how much did you have to look before you figured out, these are the things I need to clean?
So for me, the biggest thing was, first of all, a lot of I guess random columns. So they were tracking a lot of data that wasn't really relevant for me. For example, like stations, they had like an HOC 14 category. So they just had a lot of columns that weren't really relevant to me and really were slowing me down. So dropping those was definitely a big part of cleaning it. Another thing I would say that I really struggled with was a lot of the entries just didn't have data for some columns. And it really varied between data sets. So, one county wouldn't have a value for like just certain entries, but then on other data sets, it was like almost every single.
I think she froze, but we'll wait for her. I can do the snipping here, I think. Okay, so what we'll do, Nishi, say something so that we can make sure we can hear you. Yeah, I'll ask the similar question again. So
I'm so sorry. I was talking and I just like cut out, and it was like,
today technology is really helping. We're seeing a lot of technology today. It's making its presence felt. But let me ask the question again. So Nishi, in your presentation, as well as in this conversation, and as you were showing your demo, we talked about cleaning data. Can you comment on a little bit of what kind of cleanup you had to do?
Sure. So in my data, there were a lot of, I guess, misplaced columns, at least for me. So they had a lot of information that wasn't really relevant. Like, for example, the affiliation that was monitoring it, or the project that it was from, or the station. So just going through that data when I was trying to go through and aggregate it all, it really slowed it down. So dropping those columns was a big part of what I was doing. Another thing was every entry somehow always had a number missing. So, if it was tracking like 10 different things, at least like every single entry had something missing. And it wasn't even like every county had the same stuff missing. It completely varied. So sometimes it was a really big challenge to decide between, like, okay, should I just drop this column altogether, or should I actually go through and try to add like an average out value for it? I think even, I'm not sure if you guys saw when I was presenting, but a lot of them were just nans in the output. And that's because whenever you add like a number to not a number in Python, it'll give you not a number. So I think even right now, I'm still going through and trying to like get it all to a number that it can be like easily used in Python.
Great, yeah. I just want to clarify to our viewers that NaN is not a number, and Nishi did mention that, but in case you're wondering what NaN is, that's not a number. Nishi, I gather you had a good experience. I have two questions for you. What next with respect to this? And then also, what what if anybody else wanted to do magic, what would it be your recommendation to them?
Okay, so I'll start out with my future plans for this. So unfortunately, because of a lot of technical issues I had, I wasn't able to get it, I guess as functional as I wanted. I don't have that many layers, and unfortunately, it still is just a collab file. So I really want to go beyond that and allow the user to choose what layers they want to put in to make those layers more refined and make what you're actually seeing more accessible. So whether that means actually displaying what data you're using, just those numbers for every single county and allowing the user to compare them. I really want to take that step because I think that's what differentiates this kind of virtualization tool from what already exists. And in terms of my advice for anyone who wants to do magic, I would say go for it. Um, I would say, like, especially my mentor, but I know all the mentors, they're really supportive and they're really there for you. I mean, I think I spent at least 3 sessions on the same problem, and I think anyone else would have literally had, like, would have been like so done with me, like, oh my gosh, this, like, she's like helpless. But Laney was really there for me. She was encouraging, and she did help me with, even if she didn't have the best knowledge base in it, she was really supportive of me. And I don't think without her I would have been able to complete my project to the extent that I did, or find the data like at all. So I would say whatever you want to do, even if you don't know for sure what you want to do or what your project is, just go for it. Because once you get to the point where you find your mentor and you're chatting with them, something will spark and you'll figure out what you want to do.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you, Laney. Laney, the last question is for you. If you had one advice for Nishi, what would that be going forward?
Oh my gosh. So Nishi, my gosh, keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing. You worked really hard on this project. And I love that you're thinking bigger. I think at the very beginning, you were talking about like a website, like an interactive tool. And I was the one who said that we got to figure out the data first. So that's why we started in Python. But I love that you've kept this huge vision as something that's going to be useful for people, that's going to be new and different. And I know that you have the technical skills and already, and then stuff that you don't know, I know that you know how to do. So go and do it. And I know you're starting your junior year, and that's an exciting time. So have fun in school also is my advice, and keep working on this when you want to. With a follow-up advice of don't do a side project just for the sake of doing a side project. Keep doing this if you like it and enjoy it and it's still bringing you fun. And yeah, keep being yourself. You're doing great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both for chatting with me, and congratulations to both of you. And keep doing the same stuff, Nishi. Looking forward to hearing more about what you do next. Congratulations and thank you.
Thanks, Ira.
Thank you so much.